Alright, so South's going to play the Queen of Hearts on this heart lead. Third hand plays high. We should definitely win the ace because that sets our jack up as an extra stopper. Now we've got this natural blockage in hearts, but we do have 3 heart tricks by squashing the queen with the ace. We win the ace now, the king and jack are winners later. Bit of a blockage, but we still have the 3 heart trick. So, win the ace of hearts at trick 1. Now what we want to think about is which suit should we go after? So should we chase spades or clubs? As I said a minute ago, we could go for diamonds, but they're more risky because we would need a break and a finessing and so on, whereas we don't need that in clubs or spades. If we go after clubs, let's say we play a low club to the 10, the defence can do something rather nasty, which is just duck the 10 of clubs, so don't play the ace of clubs. And that then cuts us off from our hand. We can't get back to our hand very easily at all. So I think the correct play here is to play the king of clubs clashing with our 10, which is not usually a good idea, but it maintains the lead in our hand should they duck the clubs. Now this might set us up to losing the 9 of clubs as well, because if we play the king, the queen and the jack, it's possible the 9 is still around by that stage, so our clubs might not run. But if we do the alternative of a low club to the 10, the rather obvious defence of ducking the ace kills the club suit dead, because we just can't get back to the clubs. We would then have to rely on the spades and eventually the diamonds. So I think the correct play is play the king of clubs. If they don't take the ace, play the queen of clubs, jack of clubs, and so on, until eventually we can get the club suit going if they split relatively well. If the clubs don't split relatively well, at least this play means we'll make some club tricks before we get stranded from our hand and then have to fall back on the spades. So I'm going to lead the king of clubs, which feels unusual because the 10's equivalent, but it's to stop this duck play of cutting us off from one another. I'd much prefer the 10 to be in my hand and swap with the 3. Then I know the clubs are going to run. I just go king, queen, jack, 10. But that's not the suit we've got. So I would play the king to hold the lead in my hand, should they not play the ace. Like so. This defender should duck, just to be awkward. You only ever duck from an ace as a defender in no trumps, because in trumps we would then be getting trumped in clubs. So we win that club trick, and that's very not cooperative from the opponents, but that shows us that at least we're glad we played the king because we maintained the lead in our hand. So now the queen of clubs trying to force the ace out. We see a very pleasant sight on the queen of clubs, which is the 9 dropping. Okay, so if we think about the clubs that we've seen so far, we've seen the king and 10 on the previous round. It went king, little, 10, duck from the hand with the ace. And now we've seen the queen and 9, so the jack and 8 are the next best clubs, other than the ace, of course. This is one of the reasons why playing the king and clashing the 10 in the previous trick was the right playing clubs, because it gives us an opportunity to keep the lead with the clubs and set the clubs up. We do need the 9 to appear by some kind of early on-ish, so either the 9 dropping, like it just has here, setting our 8 up as a good club, or the clubs 3 and 3 would also have worked, because the 9 would have dropped on the next round. The good thing about this now is that our clubs are winners, except from the ace of clubs. So once the opponents win the ace of clubs, all that we need to do then is get the lead to our hand in order to enjoy the remainder of the clubs. Now that's not as easy as it would appear, because the entries to our hand are a bit, well, lackluster, and that's why we play the king of clubs in the first place. But we might just be able to get to our hand with maybe the jack of hearts later, or the 10 of spades, depending on who's got the ace of spades. So this hand's now going to take the ace of clubs. Oh, sorry, we need to discard from the dummy first, of course. They have to play a card. I would discard a diamond because the heart's a winner and the spades is another long suit we're going to chase in a minute. So we discard a diamond. This hand wins the ace of clubs. No point ducking now, because they can see that if they duck, we're just going to keep playing big clubs. They can see that their clubs are futile. They could have not ducked the first trick, as long as it is short, to be honest. So we win the club like so, or rather the opponents win the club, but it's established our clubs as winners. Now the best defence is to clear the hearts, clear the king of hearts like so, just because it gives us nothing. Leading a diamond into the diamonds helps us, leading a spade away from their ace helps us, because we can see the king, queen and jack on the dummies. They shouldn't do that, and leading a club definitely helps us, because that gives us the lead. So a heart is the best lead for them, because it gives us nothing for free. So we now win the king of hearts. Now all we need to do, having established those clubs by playing them carefully, get the lead to our hand. If we had a little heart there, this would be ideal. Small heart, the jack, run the clubs. But we don't have a little heart, and also we want to try and set the spades up. So for 2 reasons, I'm now going to play a low spade to the 10. Either this gets rid of the ace and sets the spades up as tricks, or the 10 of spades wins, which means we get the lead to our hand, and we can then set the spades up as tricks in a minute. So, a low spade. If this hand plays the ace, it solves our problem. We play low and we now have the rest of the tricks. So the best they can do is play low, saving their ace for one of the king, queen, jack in a minute. We play the 10, which happens to win the trick. Now if the 10 of spades hadn't won the trick and they had lost to the ace, then we would have had to rely on the spades coming in and maybe would have lost a diamond or two depending on the position of diamonds because we wouldn't have been able to access these clubs. Fortunately for us, the opponent would have had to lead back into our hand by either playing a spade, giving us the spades, or a diamond taking finesses for us in diamonds. If they played hearts, of course, that gives the lead back so we can still get to the clubs. But because the 10 of spades has won, because the ace of spades was on our right, which was a nice result, that means now we've got the lead to our hand, which means our playing clubs has been rewarded because we can now play the jack and 8, and they're the two biggest remaining clubs left. So we play the jack of clubs, this hand discards something, doesn't matter what, we discard a diamond, this hand plays a club. Now we play the 8 of clubs. This hand discards something, probably a heart. We discard another diamond, like so. And then we play yet another club. Now if we weren't certain about the club winners, which we might not be, we should count them. We had a round of 4, then a round of 3, then 2 rounds of 2. So 4 plus 4 plus 3 is 11. These two are the last 2 clubs in the deck. So we can now play another club. This hand, again, discards something, doesn't matter what particularly. We can throw a diamond, like so. This hand discards something as well, probably a spade or a diamond, doesn't matter. And because of our careful club play, we're enjoying these long club winners. But it was through some nice fortune of the ace of spades in the right place and the clubs breaking well enough for our clubs to become winners. Now I play another club, this hand throws something away. We throw a low spade away. You can now see that our dummy is starting to look rather good because we've enjoyed our long clubs. So all we need to do now is get rid of the ace of spades like so. If we take the ace of diamonds and then get rid of the ace of spades, they'll have diamond winners. So play a spades to the king, queen or jack. This hand can take their ace when they want. They can take it now or in a minute. All we're doing is driving out the ace of spades. So they win their ace, just for simplicity's sake. Let's say they win it now, but they could duck once or twice if they really want to. They win their ace of spades, but now, of course, they are powerless to stop us from winning the remainder of the tricks. If they had a heart, which they don't, but if they had a heart, they could play a heart which we would win, and then go over to the ace of diamonds and win a spade. If they play a diamond or a spade, the dummy's remaining 3 cards are all 3 winners. So we end up making 11 tricks because we got lucky on 2 fronts. The clubs broke nicely, and we played the clubs properly by playing the king and 10 in the same trick, maintaining the lead in our hand, noticing the entry problem. That was the first key thing. And the spades to the 10 provided an entry to our hand in order to enjoy those established clubs. If the clubs hadn't broken as well, or the spade to the 10 had not yielded an entry, we'd have probably lost a couple more tricks because we'd have had to set the spades up and would have eventually had to play diamonds, losing a diamond or 2, because we wouldn't have been able to access our club winners. We'd have still made game probably, but the way in which the cards fell, we made 2 over tricks for 3 no trumps plus 2.